Blah, blah. Okay. Okay, well then, let's see. Did you start your morning out same old also? Did you go to the temple and make
Yes, go
okay.
to the market.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And what did you bring for the monks?
Um, rice, kamnate, duck, uh, a duck,
A whole duck.
a meat, slice the duck meat
Hmm.
on the rice.
Hmm.
Hmm. And um, dessert, Thai dessert.
Ah. So I read a newspaper article maybe 1 year ago or 2 years ago.
Hmm.
The government, well, they have a special department for Buddhism,
Uh-huh.
and they were concerned that the monks were getting too fat.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they were trying to some sort of intervention. And they asked part of that intervention was they asked the public to stop bringing them foods like McDonald's and
Yeah.
things like that. So when you give food to the monks, are you mindful of the foods you give them? Do you try to give them healthy
Yes.
foods?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Hmm.
I someday I put salad. Huh? I give salad. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Okay.
And
Uh, so I don't know. I don't want to go too far off on that tangent there about the monks, but so do the monks ever study like nutritional science and things like that?
what is the science?
Well,
Science.
there's a couple of different schools of thought, but there's been a lot of science and research on diet and nutrition, especially the last maybe 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
about what is it called? I think it's called the ketosis diet.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other things involved with that, but I thought maybe if the monks ate more than once a day, or
Uh-huh.
then they might not get fat so easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, some of the monks will treat only one meal, but
Hmm.
some two meals a day.
Hmm. And so what do they do like if they're a very old monk, like 85, 90 years old? Do they just eat whenever they need to? Because I imagine they would probably maybe need to eat more than once per day.
Yes, if they have a problem,
Hmm.
healthy problem, and if they have to take a medicine,
Hmm.
so they can eat 3 meals. Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Great. So,
Sleeping.
yeah, I've been up for a while, so it's getting around close to bedtime, so it gets a little sleepy. But yeah,
Actually, I am also feeling sleepy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. All right. Well, anyway, so here we are. This was what we were working on yesterday, just a bit. I'm gonna load up real quick. Not that what we were doing yesterday, just to review some of the terms we did not yesterday, but Friday. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so, where is that? There we go. Saturday, yesterday, no,
Friday.
Thursday, Friday. There it is. Okay, so here, that is, and I can do this. This should share. Boop, there we go. Okay. All right, so we talked about threats and barriers to trade and opportunity. All right, real quick, rapid fire. Are you ready? Are you ready? Rapid fire. Okay. What are threats in your business?
Oh, like a trade barrier.
Yes.
It's economics.
Okay.
And COVID crisis.
COVID crisis.
Some government regulation.
Government regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Either in the both. Yeah, we discussed that. Both the importing country and the exporting country, different government regulations can be a barrier to trade. Okay. All right, and opportunity. We discussed opportunities.
Yes.
Okay.
Good opportunity to get new customers from overseas. And can take the good opportunities from the COVID crisis as well.
Okay. All right. All right. Before I forget, I want to ask you a question because I'm remembering the question that I meant to ask you last time, but I could not remember what it was. Now I suddenly do. You said last time that the government said you could no longer, the Thai government said your company and companies like yours could no longer export masks because we need here in Thailand we needed masks.
Yes.
Okay, now my question to you then, is there a work around that situation? Like, for example, does that only apply to masks produced in Thailand? And thus, could you solve that problem by ordering masks from Vietnam and then exporting masks produced in Vietnam from Thailand to a country like the USA?
No, we cannot.
Ah, it's horrible.
Both cannot. Both we are manufacturer. We are producing or trading. Cannot. Because they want us to supply in local first, and they want to have enough supply in Thailand before export to other countries. It's similar like China also. China also cannot export for a while when they have serious problem for the COVID. They are not around face mask to export.
Yeah, it just seems odd to me that you would not be able to take something like masks produced in Vietnam and then export them to keep your business. So does your company make arrangements? Do you have like partnerships with a company in Vietnam that could export masks to other countries?
I'm not sure for that, but they have the announcement, the regulation that not around to export. But we can export the face mask that made of fabric. Uh-huh. If it made of fabric, then can export.
Uh-huh. Well,
Mm.
that makes me see that might be something worth looking into though, because it's not really it's not really bad or sneaky. It seems that way, but I think for your business, you have to. Everybody has. I have to work. You have to work. We have to make money, and I hear, for example, from my friends back in the United States, everybody is not working for a long time. So they have not been working for a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
um, anyway, so but that the what am I doing? Okay, so what that got me to thinking was this word here. It might be worth looking into for your company, and you can be the superstar again if it works out. But it would take a lot of research to see if you can do. And it's a word called aggregate. I think I spelled that correctly. I hope so. So, aggregate.
Aggregate.
Yes.
Aggregate.
Mhm.
Aggregate. What does it mean?
Okay, so to aggregate something, if I spelled that correctly, I'll better double check that. When you aggregate something, that's a very common term right now. Let's see if we can get the definition up here. So here's our definition here. Aggregate, a whole formed by combining several typically disparate elements, or they're not together, meaning disparate. Now, when you do that in terms of business, like you could say, for example, we are a distribution aggregate company. Right? You can market yourselves that way as a website, which means you know you, you might have to set up another business, like not a shell company in the traditional way that they're termed, but like a um, how would you say it? Sort of like how ABC owns Google and owns YouTube, ABC Enterprises, right? So you have to have a big corporation, an umbrella corporation, in other words. Um, and by aggregating, you're not actually producing, but you do own companies or parts of companies that maybe they are a distribution company or a distribution network, or maybe they're a production company or a network of different production companies. And so anyway, but through aggregating that, you can go and collect what you need and continue doing business, right? So say, for example, it wouldn't be very expensive per se. Like you could, instead of having a huge investment in buildings and things like that, you just have an office in Hanoi, and maybe an office in Jakarta or Bali or something like that. And the people's job there is just to find the products that you need, the producers, and maybe you have them produce OEM stuff for your label.
Mm-hmm.
And then if a crisis like this occurs in the future, and for whatever reason country A cannot export, well, maybe country B can, and you can continue generating revenue because you have an aggregate network.
Mm-hmm.
So of producers and of production and distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now that's a pretty tall order there, though. So you might hear this word pretty. We don't hear it so much these days. Maybe about 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago, this was a big. This is very common in the collective consciousness of people, because news, for different news channels, especially on YouTube, they would use aggregate sources. So, for example, they would pull their news. Maybe they would get big stories from all around the world, sent to them. They would aggregate it and report on it, but they would present it as CNN or Fox News or something. Of all those big news companies would aggregate their news sources in that way. So, and there's no reason why you can't do it in another way. So, anyway, all right. So weaknesses, strengths. We know that. Autonomy. We discussed autonomy. What was autonomy?
Um, Autonomy.
Autonomy is.
Ah, um, like we can
Let's use the word in the sentence just to practice saying it. Autonomy.
autonomy is it's like we can uh, when we um, expand business by having a branch, um, and they get on we can
So let's take a look there. So you're on the right track. You're remembering kind of what we discussed, and yes, you're right. When you have a branch that works by itself, it doesn't have a lot of. It doesn't have
work by ourselves, right?
Yeah, you don't have the boss calling you every hour,
Yes.
something like that. Like, you're autonomous. You're trusted, right? Trusted workers get to work autonomously. It's because they've proven they're themselves capable and responsible. So let's get this out of the way. But let's take a look at the full definition here. We've got autonomy, the right or condition of self-government. So you don't think of that in the political terms. Think of government as in, watching yourself, being responsible. So they do use this when you're talking about different forms of politics as well. Let's see. We got a better definition of that? Something more succinct to what we're talking about? No, that's all right. That pretty much sums it up. You self-govern. You're responsible for yourself. Independent, and as that applies to your work as well. Let me see. Can you hear this?
Autonomy.
Did you hear that?
No.
I'll have to figure out a way to get that to play through the speakers. Autonomy, autonomous. Okay, so let's continue back here. All right, autonomy. Are you autonomous at work for the most part?
For my work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Some of my work, I have autonomies.
I have autonomy.
Autonomies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have autonomies to decide to use the the freight forwarder.
The what?
Um, um, I have an autonomy to decide to choose the freight forwarder
Ah,
agent.
okay, okay.
Mm-hmm,
Well, that's good. That would speed things up for you for certain. Hmm.
mm-hmm.
Hey. Okay. I'll have to talk to you about business outside of class, since you know all about freight forwarding and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That might be a tough sell there, but we'll see. Or it could be an opportunity. We'll have to talk about that later. Um, okay, that's good. It's always, I think, speaking as an employee and as a sometimes employer, I think it's good to, I like as an employee to have a certain level of autonomy so I can just get my work done. That's good. I think that's good. Your boss is doing a good job if he's like giving you some autonomy. And
Mm-hmm.
as an employer, you like to have employees that you can give that autonomy to because you don't want to have to think too much. You want to spend your time building your business, not training your employees. All right, centralized versus decentralized. We talked about this in terms of government and in terms of business. Let's talk about business though. Do you recall what we said about centralized and decentralized?
Yes, centralized and decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the management team should give the decentralized to the to the manager. The management team.
Can
I
you
think I think I think the management team should give the decentralized to the manager to decide some work, to make some decision on their work, their own work.
Mhm.
Is is it true?
Okay.
Because if they are not come to the office, or if they are sick and cannot come to manage the organization, so the the process can be run automatically because they already give the decentralized.
Yes, you've got. I think you've got the concept. You understand the concept. It's just this.
But I cannot use the correct word, right?
You're using the word. You're using the correct word, but it's the usage of it and the application of decent. So, for example, you could say our management is decentralized. We have managers in Bangkok, in Samut Sakhon, in Chonburi. So if there's a flood or a virus outbreak, we can continue operations if one branch ends up closed down or quarantined or whatever. So that's the purpose. The purpose of decentralized is more to, it's like
Reinforcing.
reinforcing. It's making your business stronger, right? So, like for example, I mean, a simple analogy is when you build a house. And so I'll do the whiteboard and I'll show you here. So, all right, now, uh, you build a house and you have a frame. Here's the wall. Okay, and then so you can build a wall right between these two posts here, no problem. But you can put a roof on there. Sure, that will work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not very strong. So you reinforce this frame by maybe having some cross beams here and here And now your frame is much stronger, right? And you could even have some going, you can even have some going in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the frame is very reinforced. And that's what decentralization does in terms of your business, is it reinforces the strength of the business. So, if you get a crack, the crack being a flood or a pandemic, if you get a crack here, it's no problem. The roof is still on. If you get a crack here, still no problem. You can have multiple cracks, multiple fractures,
Mm-hmm.
but still you're able to conduct business. That's what decentralization does. It reinforces your company, its ability to do business. And I'll put that one down there. Reinforce. And that's essentially what you said your boss is doing right now. You're planning on getting a you're planning on getting a office in Bangkok on Saturn and eventually in Chonburi too. So it's good news. It's good news for you. All right, and then centralized, you're kind of weak. We know that, right? Centralized is when all the management, all the decisions get made from one place, and it takes longer to get things done. Right? So, all right. Opportunistic.
If can I say decentralized by open the branch to like Saturn and Chonburi? Is this can use the word of decentralized if we expand the branch?
Not necessarily. Like it's certain aspects of the business. Like, all right, so let's say, all right, if you have a branch manager and he's able to function autonomously and he's able to get rewarded or get in trouble, right? If he makes a mistake, maybe he loses his job and a new manager comes in. Then that's pretty much decentralized, right? So, but if the managers still have to call the main boss all the time, that's not really being decentralized. Like they have to have you have to have certain amount of autonomous privilege.
If they try to control everything, so it will not be centralized.
Yeah, it's nice. It's still, all the decision making has to go back to the main office in Bangkok or Samut Sakhon, wherever the main office is going to be located. Then the customers have to wait, and then they get upset, and they go, "What? Like, you're the manager. Why can't you make the decision?" Is the question they might be asking. So, that's a risk. Like allowing a manager to work autonomously is a risk. He could lose money for the company, but if your boss is satisfied with their work and trusts them, then he will go ahead and let them do it. Sometimes they win, sometimes they break even, sometimes they lose, but it's a risk you take. And I think most of the time, if you've got good people working for you, they're experienced, then it's not something to worry about too much as an owner of a company. So, and if they make a mistake, you can just say, "Go find a new job." It's a little more difficult in Thailand, I know, to fire people, but for bad performance, but you can still do it. So yeah, a little bit of autonomy goes a long way and it is a necessary component to decentralization. You have to give up some power for efficiency and take on some risk. We did opportunistic, so that's just seeing opportunity and taking advantage of it. And remedy, that's one. Do you recall what remedy was?
Which one?
Remedy.
remedy.
So we have that on our website over here. You should.
Remedy.
Or the,
How to keep it or solving the problem. Remedy. How to solve
yes.
the
Yes.
problem.
How a method of solving. Oh yes, solving a problem. How to fix a problem. A means of relief where either party can pursue to compensate for the other party's non-performance or non-compliance with a contract term or condition. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So right. Yeah. So there's lots of ways. So. So I think we discussed this a little bit, but I can't recall our conversation 100%. What is a remedy that your company uses for non-compliance with a contract, or what a remedy that your company might suggest?
For 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 what case? You
Not,
mean
for non-compliance with a contract.
non-compliant with the contract?
Yeah. Non-compliance means they did not do
Meet the contract, right?
contract.
Okay. Cannot follow up the contract that we already agree
Yeah.
to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they agreed to buy masks from you, but then they did. How do you remedy that situation?
We cannot do anything because like a face mask, right? And like a face mask and some of the gloves that have the crisis situation, we already ordered with the suppliers, but they cancel our order. Mm-hmm. We order them before the COVID situation. We order them to containers some months. But after COVID situation, they stop delivery as the goods, and we cannot do anything. We can just only complain them by issue the letter that asks them to 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 perform the as agreed, but they are not feedback. They have just told that Chinese, yes,
Yeah.
so that the price already increased, and if we really want to buy the goods, so we must accept their new price with 10 times the price.
Really? That's called price gouging. Price gouging. We talked about this. I was in the chat from last time. I'm sure of it.
Price gouging.
Yes. That's not a remedy.
Price gouging.
Yes, that's illegal. It's illegal here in Thailand to do that too. You can't do that. I think. Well, anyway, you should explore. I don't like that's. I was laughing because, not because you made a mistake, but because the story with Chinese businessmen and companies is just so common. It's just kind of funny these days. Everybody's like, yeah, the Chinese company just said, you don't like it, tough. We're not going to pay. So yeah. Oh man.
And now like bidding products. If who can give highest price, they will sell to that company. who can buy and who give the highest price, who can accept the highest price, they will sell to that company.
That is immoral. You should,
Mm,
I mean,
very.
yeah, that's not a good way of. I understand business is business, but this is a worldwide health crisis. You kind of gotta try to distribute them where they need to go, where they're most needed. I would say, you know, that would be the moral thing to do. That makes me sad to be human.
Yes, and they are rich for this situation
Sure, sure.
because the first One Piece um before COVID, One Piece
Mhm.
is only 1 baht, but for the COVID, One Piece is 10 baht. You know,
Wow, that is not.
so they
That's what we call a 900% price increase.
mm,
That is huge. That is so much.
yeah, so they decide to sell to the person who can give the highest price. Mm,
So that would be a time where you could use business aggregation to your advantage, if you have uh, an aggregate network of some sort where you can pool your resources, maybe some um, you can it like say they don't even necessarily have to be owned by you, but if you have a network of businesses, say, hey, we've got to work together, all the small guys, all the small companies, if we can aggregate our resources to purchase these masks, we can distribute them, proportionally. You know that word, proportional?
proportional.
Proportional just means, how much, like, a direct what you receive is directly equal to how much you gave. So if I spend 100 baht, I get, if we buy a pizza and I put in 100 baht and you put in 300 baht, your slice of pizza is going to be a 300 baht slice of pizza. My slice
Mm,
of pizza will be 100 baht.
propor-
Proportion, right? Proportion. Let me put that over here for you. Proportion or proportional.
proportion.
Mhm.
Mm,
It's kind of like how the parliament works over here. It's you get members elected. It's more proportional as opposed to like the United States, where it's our votes are not proportional to our representatives. Uh, Proportion. How could that? Oh, that's why. There you go. Corresponding size to the amount of something. All right. So again, if we're having a pizza,
mm-hmm,
I mean, you've seen it a million times, I'm sure, if you've done pie charts, right?
mm-hmm.
Pizza pie,
Yes,
pizza pie. So,
I
all right. So here, we both paid 100 baht. We get equal proportions of pizza.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So you could have it. You could even have a buying network, where buying a network of businesses that aggregate their money for the purpose of buying power, but still run independently of one another and autonomously under their own umbrellas. They don't have, like, your company's not going to have control over my company. In other words, we just help each other to make a purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, wow, no remedies, huh? No remedies for you.
Mm,
Mhm.
yes, no remedy.
There's never, in all of your dealing in and experience with this industry, have you ever had in a contract remedies for anything, whether it's your company or the other companies? Not.
Yes, the um, yeah, some of the suppliers can it is good because if they cannot deliver the goods according the original schedule, so they are responsible for deliver the goods by the air freight
That's
instead
right.
of
That's
the
right. Yes. You told me this last time. That's right. That's one. All right. So if they can't get it to you on time by shipping, they
Mhm.
must immediately send it by air freight
Yes.
at cost to them. No
Mhm.
extra charge. Okay.
Yes.
That seems like it's a fair
Hmm.
remedy. Okay.
And if they have been delivered the goods, the defective goods, so they will replacement. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we will not. And actually, we told them that we will send back the defective products,
Mm-hmm.
but um, we have to charge them the cost of the return
Mm-hmm.
freight cost. So they don't want us to send back the
Mm-hmm.
defective one, but they offer us to buy lower cost. They
Like a credit
uh,
almost. Mm-hmm.
and they decrease the price
Mm-hmm.
uh, and let us buy them as a B grade products.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Yeah, that's better. I think that's a good way to do things. It's better just to lower the cost,
Mm-hmm.
the purchase cost. That's what we said with that was like almost like amortization.
Amortization.
Yes, almost like not quite. Lowering the initial purchase cost is what amortization is. But you lower you lower that through making payments incrementally, but not you're doing it slightly differently through a remedy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's interesting. That's a good way to do it. I think that's fair. Okay. There's this here. Okay. All right. So, does your company ever do anything like that with, say, for example, uh, I mentioned earlier that we've got, let's say you get let's say you get an order. How does how now for a product from Thailand that goes to America
Mm-hmm.
by sea freight? How does it ship out of Thailand? Does it ship out of China? And you mentioned freight forwarders. So how does your company deal with that? If someone in America wants
Mm-hmm.
a Thai product, what sort of shipping
Um,
solutions do you use?
yes, we have the U.S. customers,
Mm-hmm.
and we offer them the FOB price. Uh-huh.
FOB. Can you explain that to me?
FOB it's mean the freight cost will pay by the buyers.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So they will um, by the sea freight by themselves, and they will give us their forwarder agent name and contact information.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And when the products are ready for delivery, then we will tell them what forwarder names that you would like to use, and they will give us, and then we contact them and booking the shipment,
Mhm.
booking the space with their forwarder agent.
Mhm.
Mhm. And then after we got the schedule, then they will um, arrange pick up the goods at our factory, or or we will deliver the goods to the Bangkok port, hmm the place of the loading port.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
So so my question is, do you typically ship from the Bangkok
From,
port?
yes, from Bangkok port.
Mhm. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, we did a pretty good review. Weren't able to learn any new terms, but I think it was good. We talked about some of this. We'll have to go over this some more tomorrow. We'll get some new terms in there, but it was a good review since I haven't seen you for 2 days now. And you did very well. You did very well, actually, remembering these terms. Just remember to try when we're discussing these terms and these ideas to try to integrate it, the vocabulary into the sentences that you're speaking out about, because you've got that you understand the concepts perfectly well. It's practicing them in conversation that is going to enable you to speak like quickly and efficiently and confidently, because you know what they're talking about, but when you want to speak, like, then you sort of slow down and you're like you stumble over your words a little bit, even though you know perfectly well what you're talking about. So it's just more of a question of using uh, learning the terms and the vocabulary and using them every day or more often than you normally have to. So, any questions?
Mm, no, I try to.
I whenever the student says no, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I failed as a teacher or I did a really good job. I don't know. It's unnerving to me when they say no.
uh, uh, yes, I will not say no. I would say yes. I will try to learn new vocabulary and practice using the new vocabulary that you try to give me.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. And I will try to use it in many situations.
That's
And
fine. And there's, like I said, if there's anything you can bring from your work that it's possible to share, it's not going to get you in any kind of trouble. Maybe you can, even if there's old emails from finished email chains where you're having trouble or you're discussing it, I mean, that would be a little more relevant. Like I said, right now I'm just kind of like, taking shots in the dark. My eyes, okay, do we get something right here?
mm, mm,
So
mm.
there's lots of resources that we can use for your industry online, but I want it to
Uh,
I want it to be relevant and fresh. And you can just copy paste. You don't have to give me people's email addresses, but
mm.
whatever works, whatever works.
Or maybe I will give you the previous email that I already sent, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure that it's I used the correct grammar or correct way to express or to write the email. Mm-hmm.
Okay. you should be able to identify those. Usually, if there was a problem in communication, there's going to be several emails back and forth to clarify, and you should be able to, and we can see what went wrong and do some forensic correction. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, Miss Sung. Well, you have a good evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Okay. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Great, fantastic class there. That was a great class there, and it was just a review, which is, it is what it is. And oh, I don't have a camera here anymore, so yeah, it just is what it is. That's what we've got. But it was nice, Sometimes that's what a class is all about, just making sure you review and you have those terms ready to go and practice again and again until they become part of your students' vocabulary and everyday understanding and comprehension. So, well, I hope you enjoyed that class. We're going to upload that soon. It'll be there post-haste, and I'm getting better at transitioning and remembering what I need to do in my OBS studio stuff. So anyway, good on you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.